Hi guys, welcome back to Karamia's Corner. I hope you guys are having a fun weekend. Join me for a little afternoon paper crafting. Today we're going to be making some floating journal cards. I love adding these to my journals because it's so interactive. So if you're new to junk journaling, a floating journal card is basically a writing space that is not attached to the page. It's something you can tuck in an envelope, in a pocket, and you can write on. So it makes it so much fun, so interactive, and gives you a really wonderful experience when it comes to journaling and writing in your notebook. So I have these postcards that I purchased from Amazon, and I've had it for more than a month and a half, and it's time to use our stash. So I pulled it out and I thought we would play around. I love collaging, and I've been enjoying the process of collaging lately. So here is what it looks like on the back side. On the flip side, it is plain. We need to color that up and put our own design on that, and after that we'll be using these Craspire stamps, and we'll be adding some fun borders using that, and then adding these square ones to add more fun elements to our floating journal card. Today we're going to be playing with some fabric, some paper, really mix those two. And I was inspired by another wonderful crafter here on YouTube. Her name is Marcy. She was making some stamped fabric clusters on her channel. I'll put her link down below so you can see what she made. Today though, I will be stamping these on my handmade paper. And then if you have, those subscription boxes from Your Creative Studio and other vintage junk journal supply kits, they give you this handmade paper. So that's also a fun piece to take out from your kits and use. And then we can put that and incorporate it with this floating journal card. So what we'll do is we'll have our glue ready. You can mix match fabric, paper, book pages, and then what I have is a zigzag scissors or shears that I'll be using to cut our fabric. I've already pre-cut some here, but we'll be doing the same to some paper that we decide we want to use. And then in just a little bit we'll pick and start playing around with the stamps and see which ones we'll be using. Here's a sample of one of them, and this one has a cross-stitch floral print, and I think it's so pretty. I'm working on a sewing journal, junk journal, so I thought this would be a fun little journal card to add later on when I'm done. So here's some paper that I used to cut with this, and then we have this book page. I think this was gifted to me by my friend Bibi, so I'm going to be using that as well as a piece to stamp on later on with these guys. So I'll put that aside. We have a map music page that we can also use. And so let's start by putting down some paper here. I like the word that it says she's an artist, so I think I'm going to use that part. And I'm just going to roughly cut it and not use the scissor for this part. It's kind of nice to see rough edges, especially in junk journals. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to see this piece here. So grab your glue gun. If you don't have these postcards, no worry, you can use regular cardstock. Cut it to size 4x6. You can make larger ones, like 5x7 postcards. And then you'll have your flip side, which is plain, or you can use the side like this one. You can use the side where the print is and start creating collage on this side. And when you flip it over, you can add the elements to your postcard. So I'm going to be playing some music again, and then let's just go with the flow here and see what kind of collage we come up with. By the way, I'm also going to be doing some stitching all around this because this is for a sewing type journal. And then we're just going to start piecing this together, just randomly placing paper here and there. And then, yeah, just go with the flow. So what I usually do too, by the way, is I'll lay it out first and see how I want these pieces to look like in terms of color and contrast. So you can do the same. And then take a picture so that you remember how you laid it out. Sometimes we forget, so like we'll just pretend seeing what works here. This might be a little dark, but I could use it. That doesn't look too bad. And then underneath I'll be adding other pieces, like we have probably more paper down here, so I could do that and glue that on first, because this will be showing on the side, so you want to make sure you cover it. So we'll glue that down. And this is a great way again to use all the paper scraps that we have laying around. If you are like me, I have tons. So we have this map, and I love that some of the borders here have colors. So I'm going to cut that and then probably put it underneath and have it kind of peek out at the borders here. And then we'll start putting our fabric and paper patches and just create a collage, and then we'll do our stamping. Alright guys, I completed one of our postcards for our journaling, floating journal cards. And what I used was again our fabric and paper scraps. And then we did some stamping on some of that handmade paper from one of the kits. This is a cross-stitch rose. It's so pretty, but if you put it on top of some pattern that's a little dark, you won't see it. So what I did was put another piece of paper with this pink color to make it pop. Did some stitching here, and then on the flip side, did some stamping with our flower stamp to create some borders and create some interest on a really pretty plain looking back side of our postcard. So this will be our writing space. We have a little faux postcard that we have used here, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have this in your stash. I'm not the greatest when it comes to laying down stamping in a straight line, so you see that kind of veers off there, but that's what this one looks like. Let's go ahead and make another one. So here's a look at our second floating journal card, and it's complete, well, almost complete. So I used some old pages from a sewing book, and then I stamped with the Couture square stamp here, so you have the sewing machine, use some music paper. I like kind of the pun here, make amends, you know, when you're mending your clothes, so I put it there, and then just cut all these other pieces here. Did our little border here using some of that scrapbook paper. Did the stitching all around, and this time for the border I used the clover vines. It's very pretty. I love it. And then I did another stamping with one of the squares. This one here are a set of keys. We're missing a faux stamp, so I thought, why don't we make one? So I stamped it on my handmade paper, and then I have this scallop crafting scissors that kind of creates this look that you see on stamps. So let's see if we can do that here. I think we're going to make a little bit more of a squarish stamp because our image, I hope I'm cutting and making enough space for our stamp. Let me just measure that real quick. I think it should fit. Hopefully that's straight. And then we'll go on this side. And then I kind of want it to have a more organic look to our stamp. And since this is for a junk journal, I'm just going to see if that fits. That was close. Just a little bit, just a tiny trim on the side here. And then I'll get my little glue stick and we'll put it on top. And there it is. We have our little faux stamp, junk journal style. So let's have another look at the 2 journaling cards that we made today for our floating journal card. Super fun, easy to make, easy to use your scraps. And again, I had fun using Craspire wooden stamps for our borders and also other images that we added to our collage. If you are interested, I'll have a link of all these stamps down below with a discount code that you can use. I hope you guys enjoyed this little journal or paper crafting session with me, and try it out and see if you can make one for your junk journal. Again, wishing you all a wonderful weekend. Thanks again for watching Caramia's Corner. See you next time. Bye.